So in this video I will talk about ghost block generators in 1.14. In previous versions like 1.12 we had this ghost block generator, but this ghost block generator is now broken and no longer generates any ghost blocks. For which reason we now need new ghost block generators, but the problem is that none of the new ghost block generators is as nice and compact as this one. So the first ghost block generator is a lag-based ghost block generator, which uses redstone dust to create lag to generate ghost blocks, but because it is based on lag, it is not 100% reliable. But you can see here that over here we are creating ghost blocks of this iron block, which means that these blocks right here are there for the client, but they are not here for the server, and if you right click them they disappear. But this still works in 1.14, but it's not reliable. Then over here we have a reliable ghost block generator for 1.14, which is based on frosted ice. So if I press this button, then we get a ghost block over here, and you can do this multiple times and it works reliably and generate ghost blocks. And the way that this contraption works is that so first we use an armor stand with frostwalker boots to generate some frosted ice blocks. Then afterwards we extend this piston on the left, and when this piston extends it will move one of the frosted ice blocks, and this will cause the other two frosted ice blocks to melt as well. But they will only melt server side. The client doesn't calculate whether the ice melts. The client will just wait until the next game tick, and then the server will tell the client that the frosted ice melted. But if we then push the frosted ice that's still there client side before the next game tick, then we will then it will be pushed client side, because client side there will still be frosted ice blocks there, but while server side where we will just extend the piston. So server side it will look like this, while if we look at the entire thing client side, it looks like this. And then we get ghost blocks right here. Okay. Then over here we have another ghost block generator, and this one is interesting because it works in 1.14, while it doesn't work in previous version like 1.12. So this ghost block generator over here works both in 1.12 and 1.14, while this ghost block generator over here only works in the new version because there has been a change in the processing order of the tick. So this ghost block generator is based on nether portals, and if I just flick the lever, then we will get ghost blocks of these diamond blocks over here. So these are ghost blocks, and the way this works is that first I need to mention that the processing order of a tick has changed. So in 1.12 you had that tile ticks get processed before block modification packets sent out, and tile ticks means that things like dispensers or comparators or dispensers get processed, and the block modification packet phase means that the server tells the client about all the blocks that have been changed server side, and then the client resynchronizes with the server. And previously in 1.12 resynchronization between the server and the client happened after the tile tick phase, while now in 1.14 it happens before the tile tick phase. And this means that if we use tile ticks to create a desynchronization between the server and the client, and then use a piston to push around the desynchronized block, then we can use this for ghost blocks, while previously this was not possible, because if you created some kind of desynchronization with tile ticks, then this would have already disappeared before you could push it around. But anyway, now in 1.14 you can use a dispenser to create a portal right here. And then if we retract this piston right here, then server side this piston will not be able to retract because there is a portal block here, and portal blocks are unmovable. While client side, the client won't know that this portal exists yet because the server hasn't told the client yet. So client side this piston will be able to retract, and then the entire thing looks like this. So then client side this piston has retracted, while server side well, it retracts both server and client side, but client side the piston was able to move the entire slime block structure, while server side the slime block structure is still over here. And this then allows you to make the ghost block generator. So these are the two best ghost block generators which I know for 1.14, and both of them are a lot bigger than the old one. And I should mention that this ghost block generator also uses up durability of flint and steel, so it doesn't last forever unless you switch out the flint and steel or use a different mechanism to light the portal. Okay, now I want to show a few more ghost block generators, even though they are not too useful. So for example, over here we have a ghost block generator which is based on cobblestone generation, because since 1.14, due to the new update order, if you generate a cobblestone block, then the client won't get to know about it until the next game tick. Well, previously the client would be informed in the same game tick, but now there's a one game tick delay there, and we can also use this to generate ghost blocks. So for example, this right here will generate one ghost block of a diamond block, but this doesn't automatically reset yet. So this diamond block is now a ghost block, and the real diamond block is still over here, and the piston didn't push the structure. But this does not make a good basis for a ghost block generator, because each time we are generating a cobblestone and we don't want any cobblestone. Anyway, but this is also a ghost block generator. And then over here we have ghost block generators where you need to replace a block every time you use them. So for example, right here we have a rail-based ghost block generator, which works by first pushing the block below the rail, and this will cause the rail to get destroyed server side but not client side, and then we can push it over, and then the rail will still be there client side but not server side. And this also generates ghost block. You can do a similar thing with TNT. So right here we didn't duplicate the TNT, we only created a ghost block of the TNT. So this is a ghost TNT. And what's now new in 1.14 is that instead of having a piston here, you can also just have a dispenser here, and this still works. And this is now something which works in 1.14, but which didn't work in 1.12. So in 1.12 you wouldn't get a ghost block here, while in 1.14 you now do get a ghost block here. Then we also still have a ghost block which is based on banners or signs. So this is a ghost block generator which creates one ghost block while destroying a sign. So over here we have a ghost block of a piston, and if we replace the banner, then we get more of these ghost blocks. And finally we have a truly useless ghost block generator which uses a desynchronization in the bedrock breaking trick to generate one ghost block. So this contraption will create a headless piston facing downwards above the bedrock, and also create a ghost block right in this spot right here. Because if you generate a headless piston right above bedrock, then with a 1/8 flickering method, then there will also be a small desynchronization there, and you can use that to get one ghost block for every bedrock block which you destroy. So this piston right here is a ghost piston, and it's also destroyed bedrock. But this is probably not a useful ghost block generator. So these are the kind of ghost block generators which I know for the current versions, and I just wanted to show that you can still make ghost blocks in 1.14. Then other than that, I can still show some behaviors. So everything I will show now is not exactly new, which means that at some point in time I have already shown it on my channel, but if you haven't watched all my videos, then maybe this stuff is new to you. So the first thing which I want to show, well, basically the only thing which I want to show is what happens if you disguise a piston as a piston facing in a different direction, because you can get very interesting effect if you do that. And I hope that, I think I need more lag, so let me just add more lag, so to make it more reliable. Okay, come on. Okay, so right here we now have a piston which is facing upwards for the client, while it's facing in this direction over here for the server. And this then has some interesting effects. For example, if we now extend this piston, then the server will extend this piston and it will resynchronize, so we get an extended piston facing in this direction. But the client will also process the same block event, and the client will, and for the client the piston was facing upwards, so the client will extend a piston head facing upwards right here, and this piston head is a ghost piston head now. It's not really here. If you right click it, it disappears. And that's one interesting behavior, but it gets even more interesting if you give this a theoretic pulse, because if you give a theoretic pulse to this disguised piston, then it will not only extend, but it will also retract. And if this piston retracts client side when it will delete the block above it client side. So if I now give this piston a theoretic pulse, then what will happen is that it first extends server side. Then the server will tell the client that it should also extend client side, but the client says there's an immovable block here, I will not extend. But after that the piston will also retract, and the server will say I will retract the piston, and it will tell the client that the client should also retract the piston, and then the client will retract the piston and it will make this bedrock invisible. So the client now deleted the block above the piston because the piston retracted while the piston was facing upwards. And now the bedrock block is gone client side. It is still there server side. I'm currently standing on the bedrock block, and if I right click you can see that it's still there, but it's invisible. And you can glitch through these bedrock blocks. For example, if we right here we have a bedrock layer, so right here we have bedrock, but if we use this trick over there, then we can make this bedrock invisible. If the game is laggy enough. Come on, yeah, okay. And now if we give a theoretic pulse to all these pistons, then we will have made 4 bedrock blocks invisible, and now there are 4 invisible bedrock blocks here. And what you can now do is, for example, you can take a boat or something, and let's just put it right here. And now this boat is floating on the bedrock, but if I go into it, then I can glitch through it, because as soon as I enter it, the client will get to decide where the boat is, and then you can glitch through the bedrock. And yeah, and that's basically everything which I wanted to show in this video, I think. Yeah, bye.